Welcome to the harbour city of Newcastle, the place of spectacular beaches, and this weekend the scene for the FIM OCEANIA Supermoto Championships to be held at the iconic Newcastle Showgrounds. The competitors this weekend have been taking advantage of a brand new circuit, world famous beaches, cool bars, delicious food, fascinating history with lively arts and music. There is also the Hunter Valley with all of the vineyards and all of the spectacular scenery that this area of the country has to offer. Barrett, thanks very much to Destination New South Wales for making sure that this event comes to Newcastle. Let's head down to the pits and hear from some of the more high-profile riders competing in the Newcastle International Supermoto this weekend.
Oh, I'm pretty pumped. Everyone's pretty excited. It's a beautiful day here in Newcastle at the Showgrounds. We're into the third year of the Newcastle International Supermoto. It's a great concept, and I mean, it's good for all the guys, whether it be a guy like me coming from road racing, Jason Crump from Speedway, or some of the dirt trackers and motocrossers. It's a good mix for everyone, and we've got some great riders here. There's going to be plenty of action today.
It's really, really different for me. You know, it's not the sort of thing I'm used to doing at all. And if it wasn't for Graham Boyd and his band of helpers putting on such a great event, I probably wouldn't be here. But certainly not one of the front runners in this sort of thing, but having fun on a motorbike.
Supermoto is so great just because it's got a little bit of every genre of racing in it. It's got some road race, some flat track, and some motocross. So it really takes a well-rounded rider to succeed in Supermoto, and that's what I like about it.
It's my first time abroad. Actually, it's my first time to go out of the country. I'm really happy to be here. The experience, and then the people is very nice. Especially Mr. Graham Boyd. He helped me a lot with my bikes, and I'm very thankful that I'm here because of the weather is nice.
Apart from having those world-famous riders, we are also extremely privileged to have the high-profile former Australian Supercross and Motocross rider Danny Ham, and former winner at this event, to give us a track preview of this brand new circuit at Newcastle Showgrounds.
We all know Supermoto combines all the elements of motorcycle racing. This weekend in Newcastle is no different. We have the tar section over the back. The road race guys like Troy Bayliss will make up a lot of time. They're very fast indeed. Then we have all the jumps, berms, flat turns in the motocross section. This is probably going to favour our Supermoto riders that are a little bit more used to it than, say, the road race guys. This weekend, though, we have a third element, the speedway or flat track part of this circuit, the start line and the big sweeping left-hander. Now, this here, I feel, is going to be one of the parts where a lot of the guys are going to either win or lose time as they get around the track. Now, you've got to put all of these three elements together if you want to be fast and at the pointy end of the field after this weekend's done.
We are now getting ready for the first race on today's program, race 2 of the Race of Champions, and the riders are taking up their positions on the grid. Also taking up his position in the commentary box, Danny Ham, who we've just seen down on the track giving us a great track preview. Danny, welcome to the commentary box, and the action that's going to take place today here in the foreshore of Newcastle, it's going to be sensational, with Michael Kirkness taking pole position.
A big lineup of top riders as well, with Troy Bayliss there, and saw some exceptional speed out of him on the road section as you'd expect, but don't count out our American visitor there, Gage McAllister, very fast in this class.
Also, Jason Crump, who we're on board with now, has won many races around here at Newcastle Showgrounds. He lines up on the second row of the grid as we get ready in the starter's hands, and we're away. Great start there from Michael Kirkness on board bike number 387. Troy Bayliss unfortunately went skywards and not forwards and has had to slot back into second place. Got the rider on bike number 21. Is that Jason Crump right behind him?
Well, there is Crumpy on screen right now. We go on board with him as they go into the very tight section of the dirt and then entering the tar. Now have a look at how these guys get down through here, dodging all the curbs into our very tight 180 turn for the first time. Bayliss is up there pushing the front.
Well, the course is completely different to what we've seen the last couple of years, where we've moved from the Newcastle Foreshore into the showgrounds. The track a lot thinner as Bayliss comes for a big look up the inside of Michael Kirkness. Of course, not the first time these two have raced together. They have been racing at the Troy Bayliss Classic for many, many years. We go on board with Bayliss.
Did you see him pushing there? And I think you could even hear him just over the onboard camera there, a little bit of a noise to let him know he's up the inside. Now that's the aggression we see out of Troy Bayliss. He absolutely knows how to get right on the edge of those tyres. There is Gage McAllister. He has come up one position as well. They are our top three in this one, so expect a good battle as we get through a couple of laps here.
Here comes Gage McAllister off the berm, trying to get good drive. Oh, you can see there the rider in front of him just getting a little bit sideways. He probably had to get out of the throttle just a fraction to go over that jump. There's Jason Crump, of course. He wouldn't be used to going over the jumps, usually more used to going around and round in circles on a speedway track. This is probably a lot more familiar for the three-time Speedway World Champion.
Absolutely, this part of the track definitely suiting down to the ground. The jumps aren't his specialty as we head to these guys back up the front. Now, Kirkness we haven't seen too much of recently, but don't count him out. He is very quick in these Supermoto races as we see him up the front. Well, here comes that pass that we just saw. Sorry, mate.
That's all right. I was just going to say, here comes the replay of Troy Bayliss. Well, he may be 48 years old, Danny, but he still is a three-time Superbike World Champion and goes in every race thinking that he's going to win it.
And didn't he have his elbows up in that one, eh? A little nudge there. Oh, you saw his front wheel just tipping out a little bit as they came through there. And he's got a lot of pressure behind him now from our visiting American, Gage McAllister.
And of course, this man is certainly no stranger to Supermoto racing, and great to see the lineup of international riders out here. Of course, we've got riders from the Philippines and also Thailand as well that have come down here to race in this race this weekend here at the Newcastle Showgrounds. And look at Bayliss as we see graphic footage there of how keen he is to get the back end of that motorcycle hanging out sideways.
Well, this is a great race right now. McAllister really putting the pressure up on our leader of Troy Bayliss. This is the real test for him, though. We saw how good Bayliss was the last few laps around on the tar as they go into that Tire 180 again. Just little twitches out of that front wheel of Bayliss as they go into that turn. Has a quick look over his shoulder. There is Kirkness in there in third, but the real battle is right here between these two.
Well, Kirkness is certainly not out of the equation yet, because as we've seen in this class, you've only got to make one small mistake and everything can change. And Troy Bayliss and Gage McAllister are pushing right to the absolute limit at the moment. As you can see, every time Troy Bayliss comes around this corner, massive amounts of lean angle, massive amounts of throttle, and straight back into the dirt.
Now, this is the part McAllister really should be the better of the two riders. Don't forget, though, Bayliss has got plenty of time on the dirt with the flat track experience as well, but McAllister's been doing a lot more of the Supermoto and should be a little bit more comfortable as they go over to knock down another lap, 2 to go. Bayliss looking very comfortable out in the lead at the moment.
Well, 5-lap journey, it would be 5 laps of absolute mayhem. As you can see, it would also take a lot of physical exertion.
Sorry, mate, he ran just a little wide there. That was Bayliss, and you can see how much more space McAllister adds. Caught up on him as they go down to this tight section. Now, I think last time around I saw Bayliss having a look over his shoulder thinking, why can't I shake this kid? You know, he's the expert on the tire out front, but McAllister is still there applying all that pressure at the moment as they go into a very tricky part of this tar section.
What about McAllister? Has he done much supercross and that sort of stuff as well to be used to the jumps?
The Supermoto in America would be his experience. Oh, it runs real wide right there. Here's Bayliss, but he's held the line up the inside. Oh, Bayliss! Bayliss has gone down, lost the front, and what's McAllister done?
Well, looks like he stalled it, and as we said, Michael Kirkness is certainly not out of the equation. He's come through to take the lead. Bayliss hopefully will be able to get up and get his machine going. Let's see what Gage McAllister can do. Can he get his bike restarted as well? Because these bikes run very high compression.
Well, there is Bayliss. He is up and running again. McAllister right there as we go to a replay. Now watch the front wheel on the bike there in front. That is Bayliss. I actually hit there, and you see just the front tucking under, and then McAllister, his bike just stopped. That is so weird.
Yeah, it looked like he had to get out of the throttle very quickly to avoid the 3-time Superbike World Champion. Here's the replay from a different angle. You can see Bayliss even got it sideways on the way out of the Biogenetics corner, and as they came through here, he was pushing that front tyre for everything it was worth, and unfortunately, it cried enough, and he went down.
Yeah, little chatter of the front wheel there, lost the grip. As you see him looking back in disgust, he is so good on the tar. As we go back on board, there is the little touch between these two guys.
I think that may have just fired Troy Bayliss up a fraction too much there, and unfortunately he went down. But Michael Kirkness, there he goes through to take the lead. and he will ride away to, I think, what is now a pretty comfortable victory on the final lap. He's got a pretty handy lead over Jared Brook, the young Queenslander as well, doing a great job. But Michael Kirkness, no stranger to Australian racing fans, whether it be supermoto or dirt track as well.
Yeah, he has been around to a lot of different events and out in the lead in this one. We spoke to him over the weekend as well, who said he had a couple of races where he just threw it away. Well, it's all turned around for him this one, and he has actually been given this race win as he heads up towards the finish line. A great ride and a very, very smart one.
Well, Kirkness takes the checkered flag to finish first. First you have to finish, and he's done it in style. Jared Brook, the Queenslander, comes across to take second place. It's very close on the flag for the final place on the podium. I think Gage McAllister just gets back to take it in very close quarters there with Duncan Hart, who will take fourth position. Max Whale from the back of the grid has come through to finish in fifth position, with Andy McLeish, Daryl King, Brock McAllister, Jason Crump and Max Croker rounding out the top 10 finishers.
Well, we put a brand new tyre on, didn't get a chance to put a warmer on before the race, and we got the holster and then was just slippery in the tar, so those guys went past. I had nothing for them, but they always say it's better to be lucky than it is to be good, I guess. Just poking around in third place, and I thought, wouldn't it be funny if these dudes bumped into each other and I picked up another easy one, and sure enough, I come around the next turn and here they both are stopped in the middle of the racetrack.
First race down in a packed program here at Newcastle Showgrounds. Join us after this break for the continuing action of the Newcastle International Supermoto. The 2017 Newcastle International Supermoto has attracted champions from all around the world. And joining the fray this weekend are two of Australia's very best. Former World Superbike champion Troy Bayliss and former Speedway World champion Jason Crump.
Most of my experience comes from road racing. I love out in the tar section, but of course I've done dirt track and motocross in my younger days. So we've got this here, some good jumps and some dirt track around the oval as well. So it's basically just a good mix. So all the guys that ride, they feel good in some part of the track. I feel comfortable out the back, but actually I haven't done a lot of riding, so I'll see how I go today. But I didn't take part in the FIM race yesterday only because I don't have the fitness. I'm probably good for 5 or 6 laps, so I've still got the speed, but you know, I'm getting older and wiser, and I know that 15 laps I'll probably get too tired and have a crash or something like that.
Nobody really is a supermoto expert. You know, you got guys like Troy that specialise on the road sections, and a couple of dirt trackers that are good over the jumps, and it brings everybody together. And it's instead of having a really fierce sort of rivalry going on through the pits, everybody's kind of half happy and pretty sociable. These bikes are completely different to a speedway bike that I used to race. You know, the jumps, even when I go to a motocross track, I'm absolutely useless on jumps. So the whole thing's just a bit of fun for me, and I'm certainly not here to try and win a trophy, that's for sure.
We've got Boris, ex-world champion from France. It's nice to see him. I've known him for many years. As a cage from America, you know, he's an American champion here. So, I mean, it's very good talent, and to take a win, if anyone takes a win, they certainly deserve it.
When you race overseas and around the world for many years, it's always nice to race in big events back home, so pretty special to do that.
First race for the women's and veterans class on Sunday, race 2 for the weekend, and Bayliss fires the bike off the line, but it looked like he got roosted there, Danny, as he made his way off the line.
Yeah, great camera shot there on Bayliss's bike, just there on the handlebars, but it was Paul Kaslik with another great start. He's always known to be a great starter, and he runs it up front, but really the battle for the whole weekend in this class was between them two guys, Kaslik and Bayliss.
Yeah, and also too, Rob Jones doing a great job on board bike J, but you can see there on bike number 61, Jason Morris, the former Superbike, an electric bike rider, getting it all wrong on the jump, and that cost him a lot of positions.
Brad Truver coming around the outside of him, or sorry, up the inside, and he made the pass stick, but here is the real battle. As we mentioned, Bayliss down into the tar section. We know how great he is on this part of the track, and he would hunt down Paul Kaslik all the way.
This is the replay of the Troy Bayliss Classic a couple of years ago, where Kaslik actually beat Troy Bayliss to the line in his own event. As we jump on board now, as Bayliss goes up the inside of Kaslik, down into the hairpin, makes his way through now to the biogenetics corner, and opens up a pretty handy lead over the multiple Australian champion Paul Kaslik on board bike number 3.
It was really no surprise to us at all to see that kind of speed out of Troy Bayliss on the tar section, as we see him come over the finish line and take the win in the first race. There was Paul Kaslik in second, and Rob Jones the 6 times Australian Trials champion, doing very well, coming across in third.
Well, Bayliss and Kaslik congratulating each other after a sensational ride. Sunday's race 2 was their third and final outing of the weekend. And once again, Danny, it was Paul Kaslik that fired the number 3 machine off the line and took the lead into turn 1.
Well, that was a great drive. You saw not a lot of wheel spin out of Kaslik, and our top 3 was straight back up there again. Bayliss all over the back end of Kaslik early in this race. You can see him switching up the lines, and he'll go into this corner very deep on the outside, setting himself up, but not as deep as Kaslik. And he ran a little bit wide, which will set him up through these turns for a great pass and a very aggressive pass down the inside there. Oh, and bunches all of the riders up as they hit the tabletop in this early part of the race.
Well, I thought they were actually going to hit the barriers on the outside of the circus there. They both went in there so deep. Oh, there's bike number 5 going down.
Darren Webb, yeah, just losing the front in that rut. Very tricky on these tyres to get any grip, as we see Bayliss making his way through a couple of the back markers on his way towards yet another win.
Yeah, that was Ray Clark on board bike number 69 that Bayliss just went past. And Ray Clark got a great view there of what a 3-time Superbike World Champion is like at piloting a Supermoto bike around this circuit here at the Newcastle Showgrounds. Once again, Troy Bayliss takes the win to make it 2 from 2 for today. Rob Jones finally gets the better of Paul Kaslik on the final corners to take second, and Kaslik rounds out the podium in third. Race number 2 for the Open category was their first race on Sunday morning. Different capacities in this class, Danny.
Yes, as we jump on board with Simon Boyd here. He's actually on a 350, so a little bit less horsepower, but has managed to get him a good drive off the start. The rider, though, out in the lead is Toby Tyson, and this will become a great battle in this race.
Oh, we've got a rider down in the hairpin. That looks like it was Mitch Boyd. Actually, looked like he ran up the back of his older brother, Simon.
He certainly did, and we're back on board with Simon. This is what we spoke of just a moment ago. Simon runs a little bit wide and comes together with our lead rider, and 166 with that massive jump. John Bartley tries to take advantage of it and almost puts his teeth through the cross brace.
Yeah, I think Toby Tyson did pretty well then to actually stay on board the motorcycle as the riders head off now around this dirt section. Oh, a problem there for bike number 52. Let's hope he can get that bike started and continue on this weekend. Looks like he may have just stalled it. There's Boyd on the 911 machine making his way around the circuit. He has been in the thick of action this weekend.
Certainly has, and it didn't end there as we look at him into a hay bale. Hay bales are never any rider's friends. As we see, he did get back up and going though, and it didn't keep him on the ground for too long.
And that was very important because he ended up taking second place at the flag coming across the line there. Simon Boyd. John Bartley took the win on bike number 168 with Joel Tuckett rounding out the podium in third place. Third and final race for the Opens on the weekend. Once again, saw a great start from Toby Tyson on board bike number 74, and he got the whole shot into turn 1.
Joel Tuckett on the 4 machine, definitely placed a lot better going through that first turn, as we saw our race before winner, John Bartley. He was on the outside trying to make his way through some of this traffic. As we see, it was getting very dry, very dusty towards the end of the day, and it really played against these riders.
Yeah, they were very tightly packed around the first half a lap of the race. We can see there the rider on bike number 4, Joel Tuckett, getting a good run there down the long straight and coming over the start-finish jump. It was the 744 machine of Toby Tyson who had been relegated to second place as our race leader, Joel Tuckett, made hay while the sun shined and had got off to a good lead.
Simon Boyd did his best to try and catch down our leader, but this guy absolutely ran away with this race, taking a win by 7 seconds.
A top performance there from Joel Tuckett on bike number 4. Takes the checkered flag. In fact, Daylight was second. Toby Tyson eventually came across the line to take second place on the 744 machine, with John Bartley, our race 2 winner, taking out the final place on the podium. The first race for the Postie Bike Challenge on Sunday morning occurred, and something that I have not seen for a very long time, Danny Ham, Paul Kaslik did not get the start.
No, he was very deep in the field. He's seen there on the 21 machine going around the outside. Now, I'll tell you, this can't be easy. To ride a bike like this, coming through the field there is Kaslik on the 21, and one of the riders that are going down there is the bike 8 of Matthew Pickering. He's back up and going though, but he dropped a long way back.
Well, there's Kaslik coming off the jump on board bike number 21. He's had to jump from the big powered Supermoto machine onto the Postie bike, just proving his versatility here this weekend, as we see once again Pickering not too scared to get the Postie bike really happening over the jumps.
But it was all Paul Kaslik on the 21 who would come across and take the win.
Hayden Bond on board bike number 23 would take second place in his ex-Jamie Stouffer Team Honda Racing leathers, perfectly positioned on board the Postie machine, with Brodie Thackeray taking out third place on the podium. Race 2, the final race for them on Sunday, was the third race overall for the weekend in the Postie Challenge, and once again it was that man, Paul Caslick, who we normally associate, Danny, riding bike number 3 on Troy Bayliss's Postie bike number 21, that took up the running at the front.
Yeah, certainly didn't have too much power for him. He was able to control that big beast of a bike as they head down towards the finish line. Pickering, though, trying to break his ankles on that table top, and it only looked like he stretched out the front of the bike, but it was a huge jump as we see Hayden Bond spinning it out there in the corner. He's really pushing that thing to the edge.
Well, there goes Caslick across the line to take another checkered flag. Matthew Pickering took second place on board bike number 8, with Brodie Thackeray taking out the podium positions once again.
Supermoto racing is a unique sport that combines all the elements of motorcycle racing. Now, there's a few big differences between all of these elements. We have road racing, we have flat track or speedway, and we also have motocross with the jumps. The biggest thing is the tyres. We're going to start down here and have a look at what makes up a motorcycle. And as you can see right here, this is a speedway tyre or a flat track tyre. There's a lot of room between these knobs and a lot of knobs to keep a lot of traction, but not too much so you're not able to slide the bike. Right next to it is the motocross tyre. Now, traction, being able to get that grip on the ground, that is what motocross is all about. And that's what this tyre allows. Plenty of room between these knobs for all that loose dirt to get in there and still get down and bite the ground and get some traction. Third element, road racing. Now have a look down here. Take your pick on what you want to have here. We've got the slick tyres, we've got the wet tyres, and all of these grooves. Now, all of these are a big part of trying to get some good traction on the dirt. Road, no problem. Once you combine all that and a few other things, this is what you get. Troy Bayliss's Supermoto bike. This is a 450 machine. It's got all of the changes made to it. As we can see on the front, we've got the tyres all grooved up. This probably started as a slick tyre, and this is all custom grooving to try and let a little bit of this dirt in between all of these. Another big thing is the brakes. Now, these have tremendous stopping power. When you're coming down that back straight around 120 kilometers an hour, you need to be able to stop in an instant, and these things is going to get the job done. The bike itself is a little bit lower. The suspension is hardened as well to try and stop any kind of chatter. And you will find that there's generally a smaller sprocket on the back for a lot of speed. Again, the tyre on the back, all grooved up specifically for this track. Now, they will always change between the track surface and the particular track you're on as to what they do. But generally, this is where we start, and fine-tuning after that is all it needs to make a race bike out of these things.
Third and final race for the Newcastle Pro, and the big names are back in action, Danny Ham, as we have a look at the riders taking up their positions on the grid. Of course, Adam Miller will start out of pole position on board bike number 46. Next to him, Andrew McLeish, Ben Uddard and Luke Richards not taking up their positions on the front row. Michael Kirkness is there, and Tom DeParis on the second row of the grid has made the transition from Morgan Park on his Supersport bike last weekend to Supermoto here at the Newcastle Showgrounds this weekend.
As we step on board the 387 machine of Michael Kirkness, he is up the inside and probably best positioned to get a good jump. As they launch out the gate, Miller looks over to try and get it, but it's Kirkness with a brilliant drive. Miller back up the inside. Whoa, pushes him very wide indeed.
And that looked like Tom DeParis on board bike number 7 had taken advantage of the two of them coming together. Danny, as they make their way out of the dirt section now and onto the tarmac. Oh, was that Miller getting very sideways as he landed the machine, and as he landed on that tarmac there and down to the destination New South Wales hairpin.
Well, Tom DeParis out in the lead. This is going to be a good one. Miller's going to have to work for it. We've seen such dominating races out of him this weekend. He's really going to have to push hard. DeParis with a nice little back into that corner, but runs very wide, outbraked himself. Will that allow Miller up the inside? Not this time, although again he runs very wide. The road racer really needs to start picking them apexes up a little better. Kirkness with some aggression of his own, and he tries to make the pass, but it's not going to stick. Miller stays there in second.
Yeah, the top four really have started to get away now. Great performance too from Andy McLeish on board bike number 217, the reigning Australian Supermoto champion. The top four are getting away. Well, who was that run wide? That was very wide there for Kirkness. Looks like he had some sort of problem there, shaking his head as he came off the jump. We've also got someone there on bike number 20. That's Rick Olsen. Unfortunately, he's come to an early finish in this race.
Well, there is McLeish. He has moved himself past Kirkness right there, so not a great run off the tabletop. But have a look up in front of these two guys. It's very close indeed for the lead. As we stick with these 3rd and 4th place riders, we'll try and get across to them guys. We'll have a look in the background. It could be of change, but Kirkness doing everything he can. No, the positions stay the same up the front with Boris in the lead.
Well, right behind him is Adam Miller on board the 46 machine as they come round through the technical and very narrow asphalt section of the circuit round this hairpin. We've seen a couple of riders come to grief here this weekend. There's McLeish, there's Kirkness with a bit of work to do, trying to get past the reigning Australian champion and back onto the dirt, Danny. There's only a couple of corners to go, and this corner is oh so important. We've had so many riders go down here in this hairpin. It's very rutted. Oh, Boris goes down. Oh, Miller gets caught up in it as well, and McLeish takes the lead.
Wow, you called it perfectly going into that one. You're dead right. Again, that rut has taken another victim as we see McLeish now moving to the lead with one of his better rides for the weekend. Kirkness sits there in 2nd place. Miller sits in there in 3rd, but right on the back wheel. As we take another look at this, let's see if it's the front wheel or the back wheel. Either way, he just doesn't quite get into that rut the way he wants to, braking very hard. It's definitely the front wheel this time, and there was nowhere to go for Adam Miller as they go both tumbling down on the ground.
Let's hope they can both get those bikes up and going. Looks like Miller did an extremely good job to hold the clutch in, and looks like he has got going as we jump back on board with Kirkness. You can see there he just couldn't quite get the run around the outside of McLeish and had to play second fiddle as they come around. But the good news is, oh, there's a replay of it once again. And I tell you what, Miller did so well not to run straight over the top of Tom Boris on board bike number 7.
Very close indeed. I saw Kirkness there was having a look up the inside to try and make that pass back on Andy McLeish, but he's out in the lead. He's looking comfortable at the moment. There is Miller. He's made the pass now on Kirkness. He sits in 2nd place and working towards the front.
Well, some great variety of machine at the front too. We've got a Husqvarna leading from a KTM as they come down into the destination New South Wales hairpin. It is Miller closing in on McLeish for the race win. This is a great comeback, Danny, considering he was off the bike in the dirt section of the hairpin and he's come back and he's now sitting in a very strong 2nd place.
It shows the signs of a true champion as they go down the back. The fastest part of this circuit, as we see, there's Tommy Boris. So he got himself back up after that little crash and up and going again, but I think he's dropped a long way back in the field. As we see some of our other riders out there all battling it out. It's great to see so many guys getting out and trying Supermoto. As we go back to the lead, there is McLeish still managing to hold off Miller at the moment. There's a few more laps yet to go. This is only around half race distance. Up the inside though, he's had a sniff at it. Adam Miller is starting to put a big amount of pressure on our race leader.
Well, we know that Supermoto is one of the most exciting forms of motorbike racing that there is, combining all of the elements of motocross, dirt track and road racing. And these guys at the front are putting on a great show now as we jump on board with Michael Kirkness. You can see the dust. He's trying to zero in on our race leaders. And the more that they battle handlebar to handlebar, the more that Kirkness will close in and try and stake his claim for a top 3 position.
You can still see the 2 riders in front of him though, so he hasn't dropped back too far. Still can make a charge towards the front. McLeish, so he seems to, when he hits the tar, pull out just a little bit of a lead. So this is a very good ride by McLeish. This is what we expect out of him. A very accomplished racer in the Supermoto scene in Australia, but Miller really haunting the back of him at the moment.
Yeah, back into the dirt section they come now. Look like Miller got a good drive out of that corner. In fact, looked like he may have almost high-sided himself out of the seat because he did get such good drive down into this very tricky and rutted hairpin.
Last time we saw Miller look up the inside and looks like he's going to do it again. Can he make the pass stick? Indeed he does. A great drive out of that turn. But look at McLeish back up the inside. He doesn't want to give it up just yet.
No, he's got plenty of fight left in him. Has the reigning Australian Supermoto champion on board bike number 217 as they come down through the dirt section now and back onto the tar. Danny, we've seen him so fast and he gets great drive out of the tar corners. He's going to need to do that down to the destination New South Wales hairpin if he wants to stay with Adam Miller on board 46.
Indeed he does, but it was a good jump onto the tar there by Miller this time. He kept his momentum going and he's starting to pull a small lead. McLeish there a little bit tight on his entry, I noticed, coming into that one. Let's see if he can make it up towards the end of this tar section. It's half race distance, so he's still got plenty of time to make it back into the lead, but he's going to have to put in a big performance to get back around Miller.
Oh, the lean angle and smoothness there from our race leader, Adam Miller, as he made his way around through that right-handed corner and back into the dirt section. Oh, foot off the peg. Looks like he was even scrubbing off a bit of speed there in the air, down into the hairpin. It was this corner that set him up for that sensational pass over the jumper on the last lap.
He certainly looks very comfortable, doesn't he? Adam Miller on the dirt. He looks like he's at home. And McLeish, it seems like he might have just conceded that second place by the look of it at the moment. I mean, he's not too far back. Maybe he's conserving a little bit of energy for these last couple of laps. Maybe we'll see a late charge. But Miller, you can't let him have that room, I don't believe.
Well, all of that training on the dirt track with the slick tyres in the preparation for this event. There is the drive that you saw. And how much is that preparation now coming to the fore and getting him into the lead of this race? The way he held the line over those bumps, he ran a fraction wide but still got great drive. You can see the roost coming out there. There is another replay of that sensational move from our new race leader, Adam Miller.
He got unbelievable drive out of there. It was almost like he was on a motocross tyre as he came out of that rut. As we see Kirkness, he's still getting around there in third place at the moment on the Honda, enjoying his time this weekend. A brand new dad also on Father's Day here in Newcastle as he heads over to knock down yet another lap.
He's holding down a strong third position. Max Whale is back in fourth, and you can see Whale not actually in the shot at the moment as Kirkness comes around through the first corner on the circuit. Riding very smoothly, looks ahead in the corner, comes down, but the real battle at the moment is between our top two, with the race leader Adam Miller opening up a small gap over second place Andy McLeish with only 1.5 laps to go.
Well, this view really gets to show you the track and how tight it is for these guys to get around here. Those curbs sticking up on the sides, as we said earlier, do not want to hit any of these. There is McLeish, and he is definitely dropped off the back of Miller, so I believe he's conceded second place and a good finish, a good result for the weekend.
And this track, Danny, is completely different to the track from last year where you raced on the Foreshore.
Absolutely, completely different. The Foreshore very tight with some 90-degree turns. This one with some more sweeping open turns, which favours the road races a little bit more, but it is a motocross guy that's out in the front, right there with 1 lap to go. That is Adam Miller. A late entry into this one, almost didn't ride it, and I tell you what, he'd be happy that he has now.
And he's looking very smooth, and looks he may even backed it off a fraction as he comes round onto the tar section now for the final time. Through that final jump and out onto the tar section. It's Destination New South Wales hairpin next up for him. It looks like Destination once again top step of the podium.
There is Kirkness again on his final lap. You can see the bike twitching around. Now that's just the lack of grip as he goes through those turns. There is Miller celebrating his lead at the moment. He hasn't won it yet, but he definitely looks like he's going to go and finish this one off in spectacular style.
Well, if you get extra points for doing a final last lap of style, he is going to take maximum points as he comes around this final corner before he gets into the dirt section. Only one more corner. It is one of the trickiest to go on the circuit. Our race winner, Adam Miller, punches the air. I think he's pretty confident that he's going to take the win here through the hairpin for the final time. One more corner to go for Miller on board bike number 46, around there and across the jump to take the checkered flag in the third and final race for the pro class here this weekend.
Andy McLeish found himself in second all the way through to the checkered flag. A great ride on his Husqvarna, as we see Adam Miller, our race winner, celebrating it as they go around. Michael Kirkness would come across in third place in front of the 81 machine Kawasaki of Max Whale. As we take a look at the confirmation of our results, there they are. Adam Miller, of course, with the win. The remaining results: Jared Wilson, Matthew Boyd, Scott Saul, Ashley Forsyth, Ryan Taylor, and James Bevan round out the top 10.
Andy's a tough competitor. What can I say? You know, he's got the flu. He's battling it tough. I don't know how he's doing it. It's hard enough being fit. Hopefully we can keep it going for one more.
Don't go too far away. Coming up after this break, the high-profile and premier FIM Oceania race at the Newcastle International Supermoto. It's great to see in only its third year that Newcastle International Supermoto is attracting high-profile riders from overseas as well as big names from here in Australia.
My dad actually used to put races on back in the States where we're from, and I just kind of was born into it, and grew up racing it all the way up through the ranks, and here I am now just racing it still. So I think today we're just going to have as much fun as possible and do our best, and hopefully we start from the front so that we can make it easier on ourselves.
Our freestyle show has been going on all around the Philippines with the help of Yamaha. And then I joined a race in the Philippines, which if the winner goes over here to represent the Philippines, and then I accidentally won the race.
It's Father's Day today, and me and my dad both got the opportunity to come out here and race, so we're both really excited to be out here, and we also got a race where we actually get to compete against each other, so I'm really excited for that today. It's tough to handle the pressure of coming to a new country and riding against riders you've never been with, so it's tough, but I just try to think of it as just another race back home, and try my best, and that's the best that I can do. So.
Well, the riders are making their way to the grid now for the final race on today's program, the premier event, race 3 of the FIM OCEANIA Supermoto Championship, the inaugural FIM OCEANIA Supermoto Championship to be held here at Newcastle Showground. Once again, joining me in commentary is Danny Ham. Danny, welcome to the commentary box once again. This is going to be an absolutely spectacular finale for race number 3.
Two of our fastest guys up there on the front row. We see McAllister on the very outside now. It's been a bit of an up and down weekend for these main riders, hasn't it? With McAllister having an issue in race 1 where he actually DNF'd with an electrical fault. And then also another guy that we're going to be looking out for is Adam Miller. Now, he's had some exceptional results, but not up there in race 2. As we look at the lineup, Gage McAllister, who we spoke of, and Adam Miller, both up there. Benny Attard, an old motocross and road racer. Luke Richards also, Michael Kirkness, Andy McLeish. All of the top names are in this race.
Yeah, Andy McLeish, the reigning Australian Supermoto champion, will be starting a little bit further back in the grid than he probably would have liked to. As we see the red flag at the front, we are ready to go racing here in the final event on today's program. Lights are out and we're away. A great start there for Miller on board bike number 46, who leads them down into turn 1 for the first time. Also a great start there, it looks like, for bike number 24, Luke Richards as well.
Also the Husqvarna rider there, Benny Attard, over the hay bales up the inside. He pushed very wide through that flat track section as we see Richards. Who's he battling with there? That looks like Kirkness that might have jumped around the outside of him.
Yeah, Kirkness got a great drive off that corner as well as they head down into the destination New South Wales hairpin, through KYT helmets and out into the tar section of the circuit. They're now heading up towards the Biogenetics corner. It is Miller with a very handy lead. He's already had one race win this weekend. McAllister didn't get the best of starts, Danny. He's a long way back in the field with a lot of work to do.
I wouldn't even say the best of starts. He didn't get a start. That was terrible. He is so far back from the front row. He was positioned on the outside, and we did see Attard and those guys pushing very deep. But talk about deep. McAllister straight up the inside. He's put one more behind him, and now he has all the top 3 riders right there in front of him. This is going to be a true test to see how he can handle this Newcastle Showground Supermoto circuit as they go over to knock the first lap off. There is McAllister. He didn't jump the jump there that time around. Up the inside, just didn't quite get the drive.
Yeah, Luke Richards is right behind him as well. If he makes one small mistake, Richards will be right onto it. But he's also got to try and get past this man, Michael Kirkness, one of the hardest riders in the field to overtake. He'll be late, deep on the brakes. Oh, McAllister tries around the outside, tries to get the run, can't get it. What can he do down into destination New South Wales hairpin? No way through. Kirkness there was so tight into the corner.
This is the part of the track we saw last time. McAllister really pushing in deep under brakes as we see our top 3 riders up the front there. Oh, Benny Attard, a nice slide in, almost missed that apex, and the back wheel sliding around a little bit, but the real battle, just keep your eye on the background as we watch 2nd and 3rd there. They're coming through. Kirkness, I see, still holding it off, but Attard, a big move up the inside. That seems a very popular spot to make the pass, but he wasn't able to make it stick. However, Gage McAllister up the inside.
Yeah, there he is. You can see him held position through the air, got the run into this corner just ahead of Michael Kirkness, and he's now coming up on Ben Attard, who we've seen how aggressive he is, a rider that's ridden just about everything. He's ridden in Australia, he's ridden in America, he's raced superbikes, and great to see him back on board that Husqvarna here at Newcastle Showground.
Well, Jared Brook at the moment, I tell you what, he is feeling the pressure. This is probably the best ride we've seen out of him all weekend long as they head back into the tar section. There is Miller. Now, he has pulled himself quite a lead at the moment. You can see there is no one behind him, still no one in camera view, and the rest of the field bunched up behind him. There is Miller. Gets the back end out slightly as we see second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth even. Richards there at the back. There is Brook, as we just mentioned, his best ride. Tell you what, he's going to be feeling the pressure from here on in.
Yeah, you can probably hear Ben Haddad right behind him breathing heavy as they come down through this area of the track that's already caught out a 3-time Superbike World Champion this weekend. Down into the corner that takes them back into the dirt section now. And you can see the drive there from Gage McAllister. Our rider from the US is closed right in on the back of Ben Haddad now, but this is very close company. He can, Kirkness makes one little mistake. Kirkness just ran wide. That's taken him somewhat out of the occasion. I think Richards is up the inside of Kirkness.
Well, great run there by Haddad up the inside. The motocross technique definitely coming into play there. Was able to jump the tabletop too, so he's pulled himself that small gap back over McAllister as we go up from a great view from here. The UAVs are really capturing all the essence of this track as they go back onto the tar. McAllister still got a lot of work ahead of him, as we see Haddad really applying that pressure now.
And you can also see how tight this circuit is. Not a real lot of chance to get the drive. In fact, Danny, you were saying the rider's only using up to third gear in the 5-ratio gearbox.
Absolutely, the speed wasn't quite there this year, but don't get it wrong. As we look down the inside, there is plenty of speed and a lot of late braking, and McAllister was able to pull that up, knock one more off as he goes towards the front.
That gives you an idea of how big that move was to get up the inside of Ben Haddad. That has been extremely aggressive on the brakes. Looks like he's just dropped off the fraction. I think he probably had to run a fraction wide there as they came through that corner, and Gage McAllister on bike number 1 took the running up now, and he's closing in on the back of Jared Brook.
Outside, good move here. He'll get a great drive off the top of that tabletop, lands it perfectly and moves himself into second. Now this is really the battle we're going to wait for all weekend long between McAllister and Adam Miller, who is checked out, as we've already mentioned. Will he be able to catch up? It's a long race, it's hot in the afternoon. There is 12 laps, or 15 laps I should say, in this one. Can he make up that ground?
Well, as they make their way out of the dirt section now and back onto the tar, it is still Miller that leads, although we can keep our eye on that gap and see if it starts to come down. There's Miller on bike number 46 going through. Oh, wow. McAllister, how much of the track do you want to use? Then use a little bit more as he comes out of there. Lucky there was a curb, otherwise he would have been well and truly off into the grass.
Yeah, he definitely knows his tyres. That was in the gutters as they go through this tight section. The part, as we said, caught out Troy Bayliss. Now this part right here, we saw McAllister do so many passes. He's really good through that tight flick back section as he goes over the tabletop. Another high shot just shows there. Benny Haddad has now finally made the pass. He's moved himself up into third, so that is Brook back one more position. Kirkness is behind them, then Luke Richards as they go over the tabletop. I think that's where the battle could be for a little bit as these guys start to settle themselves in. The high view really showing there. McAllister, great speeder around there, but Miller, we're still there. He is just coming to screen. He's still got a comfortable lead.
And he's had an interesting preparation for this too, Danny. His preparation was he watched the race last year on the Newcastle Foreshore, built a track in the bush in his home state of Victoria that replicated this track, practiced and practiced and practiced on it, comes here to Newcastle Showground, track's completely changed. Hasn't slowed him down. Hasn't slowed him down, but it's the time on the bike, and he did all this on the slick tyres. Now that is a big key in the Supermoto. We see a lot of the road races, they struggle a little bit on the dirt, especially with these tyres. They're so used to grip. As we look down the inside, oh, you can hear the boys. Oh, big crash there by Richards. He just ran out of real estate there under brakes. We heard him yelling at him just to let him know he was there. That was completely unintentional, but he could not stop. And he's got the bike up and going, which is good news because he scored solid points in the races previously to this too, and he's looking now at his overall championship position for the FIM, the inaugural FIM OCEANIA Supermoto Championship. As we come back and see a replay, you can just see him so late on the brakes there, couldn't get the bike stopped, and Jared Brook turned into the corner, and unfortunately Luke Richards just tagged the back end. Yeah, I think he just caught him out a little bit as we look at full speed. I think Brook may have just braked a little bit harder, or a little bit earlier, I might say, than Richards was expecting, and unfortunately Richards is the one that pays the price and goes down. Well, lucky that he's got the bike up and going as well as we go back to the battle there. Actually, is Luke Richards on board bike number 24. Hasn't slowed him down at all, and he's doing a great job at the moment. Just managing to keep ahead of Andrew McLeish, the reigning Australian Supermoto champion. That's how far he dropped back in the field. Not too far, really, in overall terms. Yeah, McLeish, we expected a little bit more out of him this weekend, and he hasn't quite delivered. Now, as we said, it's very hot and dry in the afternoon. He doesn't have that aggressive style that we're so used to seeing. This is Andy McLeish, and he may be just succumbing maybe a little bit to the heat and the temperature, and
maybe just the physical side of this sport.
You can also see there the completely different lines from Luke Richards on board bike number 24. Took the tight line, whereas around the outside was Andy McLeish trying to get the drive and straighten the bike up over that corner. And the other thing is, though, too, Danny, the track is completely different to last year. Much tighter, much more technical, as opposed to the really fast corner that we see on the Foreshore track, which we will return to in 2018.
You're right there, it is very tight and technical, and I'll tell you, if I was riding, I'd be very concerned with all of those gutters. You know, they aren't going to be pretty if you hit them, although we did see that guy there on screen in second place, so McAllister using him to his advantage just before. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, Phil, but it appears that he may have closed that gap down a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like it, actually. Just looking at the fastest laps, he has been lapping just fractionally faster than our race leader, Adam Miller, but Miller has also got a very handy lead, and he hasn't got to try and battle anyone. He's got clear air. Oh, there's another one going down. Is that that's the one? That's Jared Brook on board bike number 21. And unfortunately, he didn't crash when he was hit by Luke Richards, but now he's crashed, and that's put him a little bit further back in the field. And in fact, is that Luke Richards now closing in on him for the second time?
Yep, absolutely. Can he get past him this time with no problem? Just keep your eye on that bike of J21. Now he's going to go into this turn, look for that rut with the front wheel, and it's just going to step out over the top of it, and there's not a lot of traction with these tyres on the dirt, and you can see it just there, losing the front wheel. Actually, it was the back wheel. The back wheel stepped out over it, so my mistake. He just didn't enter into that rut quite right, and it put him down on the ground very, very quick indeed.
Yeah, the back getting sideways like that would have certainly pushed the front end, and he couldn't keep it upright, but great job from Michael Kirkness to get out of it as well as he actually did. As we look at McAllister now on board bike number 1. What a technician. How good does he look on the dirt section of this circuit? As we mentioned, he's got plenty of experience with this, and he is riding very smoothly now that he's got clear air in front of him, and doing his best on laps 13 and 15 to try and close down our race leader, Adam Miller, who, Danny, if he keeps it on track as he does, should be crowned FIM Oceania Supermoto Champion.
Well, he's done an exceptional job all weekend. As we said, he was relatively new to the supermoto sport, and he entered just at the last minute, so to come here and do what he's done has been exceptional. I just have to wonder if McAllister got around a little bit earlier in this race and didn't get held up, could he have run him down? It almost appears he could have.
And also that start, he was back to about 5th or 6th position. A lot of work to do early on. All the while, Adam Miller on board the machine, bike number 46, was riding off into the distance in clear air and building a pretty handy lead as they come round now through this end of the dirt section, over the final jump at the finish line. That will be 14 laps down. Complete now, so we're in the final stages of this third race for the FIM OCEANIA SuperMoto Championship. Jared Brook, how exciting a race has he had? He's back on track as well, and look who he's got right behind him, the reigning Australian Supermoto champion, Andy McLeish.
Well, was behind him, now in front of him as he makes the pass. McLeish moves up one more. Luke Richards got the job done also a lap or so ago. There he is, just going over the finish line tabletop, and McLeish up and over with a couple of laps to go. As we see these guys really starting to test their fitness on this flat track part. Nice slide there by McLeish on that Husqvarna 217 as they go in there. And a little back in there too by Jared Brook.
Yeah, look at the dust there as they come through that area. You mentioned before how dusty and dry it is here at Newcastle Showgrounds. Down into the destination New South Wales hairpin. For a lot of the riders, it's been destination sideways into that corner all weekend as well, as we're on lap 14 of 15 through KYT Helmets Corner, and then out into the faster section of the tarmac here at Newcastle Showgrounds.
Well, there is Adam Miller up and over the finish line. Last lap board now, out for him. Now, these guys have all ridden multiple classes this weekend, so they have done so many laps around here. Now there's two ways of looking at it. Yep, you know the track, but man, you're starting to feel tired. Look at that though. McAllister picking up a tough block there, a cover I should say. Hopefully that doesn't cause any problems.
Well, it looks like Shannon's is going to get some extra plugs on the last lap there as they come round into the destination New South Wales hairpin. And I'll tell you, McAllister has done a fantastic job to close in as much as he has. Another couple of laps, if he had got to that position, it could have been game on. But at the moment, as they come round through the final couple of corners, it is looking more and more likely that it may be in destination New South Wales supported Newcastle, but it looks like destination top step of the podium for Adam Miller.
You could just see the difference there coming into the turn and how aggressive McAllister is. He really wanted this win, pushed it very hard. But in saying that also, Adam Miller, I mean, he's had a clear track out in front as he looks over at the crowd. He's had a clear track, so he might have been taking a little bit easy. You don't want to take it too easy, though, with one turn to go. Runs it up the inside and heads to the finish line. Will take the checkered flag. A great win there by Adam Miller And then across, Gage McAllister in second place.
Looks like Ben Attard will come across to take third position. A great ride from the multi-discipline man on bike number 12. Great to see Ben Attard back. But Adam Miller, congratulations. You are the FIM OCEANIA Supermoto Champion for the inaugural year. Great to see. There comes Ben Attard across the line to take third position, equaling his position from race number 2 as well. Great weekend for Ben Attard. But Adam Miller takes out race number 3 from Gage McAllister. Ben Attard rounds out the podium with Michael Kirkness in 4th, Luke Richards in 5th, Andy McLeish, the Australian Supermoto champion, in 6th. In 7th place was Jared Brook. Jared Wilson took 8th, Brent Rowe took 9th. Diva Ismayana, the 16-year-old Indonesian, rounds out the top 10.
It's good to get the win. It was a tough weekend, like I said earlier. We started off strong, then yesterday we had some really bad luck and I was really hurting. So, but no, my pit crew, they inspired me, gave me the energy to get through it, and my family and friends back home, hello. Those people are the ones who get you through it. It doesn't matter how long you spend on your bike. It's when that gate drops, when that light goes off, that's when it begins. The only reason I didn't ride the last 2 is I've been away at work and it's been killing me. But don't worry, I've been studying and watching all these guys, so I know them all. But thank you very much to the likes of Gabe for coming over. We want to encourage more international riders and make it a big thing.
Tough start for me. I think I ended up like 5th or 6th off the start, made myself work for it, had to make a couple passes. But yeah, we moved through the pack relatively quickly, but just enough time to let him slip away a little bit. So we charged as hard as we could that whole time, and wasn't quite enough. Maybe a couple more laps and we could have gave the show a little bit better, but it was a good race. This race is super awesome. Super stoked to be a part of it, and I hope it continues and hope to be back.
We were able to do some fast laps, but just struggled with starts for the last 2 days, so it was good to finally get one. And yeah, fitness is not there, but it was good. We got some speed, and hopefully come back here next year a bit stronger. Good release from work, and yeah, like I love riding. I thought that bug was gone 5 years ago, but it fired up this year, and here we are.
Great to hear from our top 3 in the final race. Race 3 for the FIM OCEANIA Supermoto Championship here at Newcastle Showgrounds. In the overall results, it was Adam Miller that took the win on 68 points from Ben Attard. Great results over the weekend secured him 2nd position ahead of Michael Kirkness on 54 points. Only 1 point in it between Attard and Kirkness. Luke Richards took 4th. Gage McAllister took 5th after a DNF in race number 1. And Jared Brook rounds out the top 6. Thanks for joining us for all of the action here at the Newcastle International Supermoto. Of course, this event would not happen without the continuing support of Destination New South Wales, Newcastle City Council. Be sure to join us in 2018 as we head back to the foreshore.